everyone, welcome back. My name is Sarah and this is my channel, Never Out of Books. And today I'm going to do my first Top 5 Wednesday. This week's topic intrigued me, and it is top 5 books that you discovered prior to being on Booktube or any sort of book social media. I am 37 years old. I joined Goodreads, was probably my first thing, and that was in like 2011. So everything prior to 2011 is up for grabs here. I have always been a reader, so there's a lot to choose from, but I was an exclusive romance novel reader from the time I graduated high school up until I started Booktube. So because I was such a romance reader, they kind of all, my 20s kind of all blended together in a bunch of romance. So nothing really stands out as being like some sort of fantastic book. So I had to go back a little bit farther than that. And I think I got a good sampling of some of the best books that I read before coming to Booktube. One of the first that I want to show you is a series. It is the Dark is Rising series by Susan Cooper. And I, even now, would love to reread this 5-book series. And I bought them in hardback again because I just needed to have them. So we have Over Sea, Under Stone, The Dark is Rising, which is a Newbery Honor book, Green Witch, The Grey King, which is also a medalled book, and Silver on the Tree. And I just remember this series being so epic for my little brain. I was young at the time, and you know, like the first book, the third book, and the 5th book all have these 3 kids, and then these 2 books in the middle have someone else, and then at the end everything like comes together, and it was so epic for my brain, and I loved every minute of it. And I shared this with all of my friends at the time. And I really would like to read this series again as an adult. I think this is one of the ones I'm not afraid to reread as an adult. And that's saying something, because I'm afraid to reread a lot of the books I read as a young person because I don't want to ruin them for myself. But that's one that I will be rereading. Since I already told you I was a big romance reader, there are going to be some romance on here because it really is my preferred genre. Kind of even now, I like a little bit of romance in there. This author in particular was one of the first romance authors that I ever read, and in my 20s I actually went on all these old used bookstore places and purchased all of her books. So, because the library copies were getting so worn out that they were taking them out of circulation, and there was no way to get these books. And so I went everywhere and found them. And this is the series that started me off, and it's by Marion Chesney. And this is the Traveling Matchmaker series. This is about 2 twin sisters who have never married before, and they take in unmarriageable ladies and sponsor them for the London season. These are Regency based, and find them husbands. And we also get their lives as well, and they are just eccentric little old ladies. And these are very clean books as well, so they were kind of appropriate-ish for my 12-13-year-old brain. And I just remember loving them. Like, I took them out of the library so many times. I'm pretty sure I'm the reason why they had to take them out of circulation. And I think there's 2 other series. They're all 6-book series, and they're all just a little bit different and just so much fun. Number 3 are other classic romance novels, and by that I mean in particular Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Before Booktube, I had read all of her novels. I also liked the Bronte sisters as well. Again, I do like romance in my books, so this is kind of a natural thing to like, and the movie and all of that. And by the movie, I don't mean the one with Keira Knightley. I mean the BBC miniseries with Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy. Let us just take a moment, okay? As an older teenager, I loved these books, all of them. And the last two books, books 4 and 5, are both books that I read in school. They were probably the only books I enjoyed reading as required reading for school, with the exception of Pride and Prejudice. But I think I read that before I had to read it in school because I took British literature. Anyway, whatever. And I'll do this one first because I don't have as much to say. But it was Fahrenheit 451. And I think I read this in 10th grade in English class. And as you can see, I did not read this exact book. I bought this one later on, and maybe I'll read it again. But I was going through my firefighting stage. I always wanted to be a firefighter, and my great-grandfather was a firefighter, and my grandfather was a firefighter, so there's all of this. And so this whole burning books thing was way interesting and horrifying at the same time to me. I remember being very shocked by this book. So this was basically the first dystopian book that I ever read, and just because it contained fires, it immediately drew me in. So yes, this definitely goes on my top 5. And last, but definitely not least, is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Again, I didn't read this exact copy. This is the one I purchased later on. I actually read this twice in school. I read it once in 6th grade, and I had to read it once again in 11th. And what I remember reading in 6th grade and finding out about myself is that I enjoy courtroom drama. Totally, I know. Like Scout, all of that, I'm like, okay, she read early. You know, I have some impressions, but I very much remember the courtroom scenes in this. And people, the other kids being like, it's so slow, it's so boring. And me being like, yeah, I don't find that boring at all. That is absolutely fascinating. And so this book makes me wonder, now that I'm thinking about it again, why I don't read more of like John Grisham and stuff than I actually do, because I'm pretty sure I would like it. And this might just be one of my favorite books ever. Maybe. Very close. Very close. But you know what? It's on this list because it is really unforgettable. In picking these, it were the ones that have stayed with me over the course of all of these years. So I think I did a good job in finding the correct books for this challenge, and it was kind of fun to look back and see what books I remembered and what books I've gone out of my way later on in life to purchase because I remember liking them so much. And so here we go. Maybe I'll do another Top 5 Wednesday another time. Maybe I won't. We'll see. But I really liked this week's, and I'm really enjoying watching other people's for this week as well. So I will talk to you all again later. Bye-bye.